But those who will say, well, yeah, interesting dynamics, but the president, former president, had written, I think also he wrote to Shagari, he wrote to Yaradua, he wrote to Jonathan, he wrote to Abacha, but he never written to Buhari until recently. So bringing that into the equation, which you also think some things may likely change. But at the end of the day, for those who are saying, look, it's up to people to go out there and decide, because that letter contained a lot. He spoke about the herdsman. He spoke about the economy. We looked at all those figures separately, but if we go forward it and take a look at his position on the herdsman and the current figures, what do those tell us?
So we'll talk about the herdsman and the current figures and all the details of his letter. We should also even talk about the response, and we think we'll do that. But before we do that, let's look at those that say President Buhari should listen to President Obasanjo, because we've talked about those that say he shouldn't. And so once we do that, we should then look at the other things. Now, for those that say President Buhari should listen to former president, are those that say, looking at the content of the letter, now President Obasanjo had talked about nepotism in all of his speeches that I've studied since 1976. This letter has President Obasanjo using the word nepotism to Buhari more than 4 times. None of the former president's speeches in all of his life, as military president or as civilian president, has he in one speech used nepotism up to 5 times. And who was he directing nepotism towards? President Buhari. But apart from demonstrating and saying President Buhari has shown nepotism, President Obasanjo still has a lot of respect for President Buhari. And I'll explain why I say President Obasanjo still has a lot of respect for President Buhari. Let's look at how President Obasanjo addressed President Jonathan in his letter of 2013. Now, that letter was even much longer than this, over 7,000 words. But in that letter, he often referred to President Jonathan by his first name. In most times, in that letter, you'll see Dr. Goodluck Ebele Jonathan. Sometimes in that same letter, he called Jonathan by his name, Jonathan Goodluck. In this letter, for every time President Obasanjo referred to Buhari, and he did refer to him 11 times, 10 out of the 11, he called him President Buhari. Never once did he use the word Buhari. And the 11th time when he was going to refer to Buhari, he called him Brother Buhari. Compare that to when he was referring to Jonathan. Jonathan Goodluck, Dr. Jonathan. And so we see a president or a former president who, though he's saying President Buhari shouldn't contest because of several reasons, he still does have shown a lot of respect for him. But as Chamberlain, you've said, the implications on herdsmen. Now, the challenge we have today is all through 2015, every month, the evidence shows there's been a herdsman attack. There's been killings every month of 2015. That is the fact.
Let's go ahead and look at 2016 figures concerning the herdsmen.
So the media report we have is, in 2016, for every month in 2016, all the 12 months, there were herdsmen attacks that led to killings. The media reports revealed that we had 669 people, plus or minus 10%, that died due to herdsmen attacks. And in 2017, that was significantly lower. But even though that was lower, there were still attacks and killings every month. 447 killings at the minimum, plus or minus 5%, more to the upper side, are the reports we have as killings for 2017. This year, approximately 200 in the first month. But what is more important than these figures are the consistencies of the attack, the consistency in attack. And that is, we've seen 25 consecutive months of people dying because they've been attacked by herdsmen. And so even though I do not know what tomorrow lies, based on this historical evidence of consistent killings for 25 months, you do not want to put a bet with me on what is likely to happen next month in February. Now, apart from the herdsmen killings, there are other issues that President Obasanjo raised in his letter, which we got a reply and response from even the APC and the Minister of Information. And let's quickly talk about three of these issues that the Minister of Information talked about, even though he answered several other things. The first is, he talked about was that our foreign reserves were now approximately $40 billion. It had improved. Did he lie? No, he didn't. But that is only half of the truth. The real truth is, less than 5 months ago, the Ministry of Education says that we have up to 75 million illiterates in Nigeria in Nyota. Now, what does this really mean? It means that for every at least 1 out of 3 people that picks up the statements that we have $40 billion as reserves, 1 out of 3 Nigerians will not be able to understand it.
That's almost more than the voting population.
Exactly. And so even though that is factual, a third of Nigerians don't even understand what the minister is talking about. The second is, the minister talked about inflation reducing to 15%. Now, let me shock you, Chamberlain. The last and the highest record we have of inflation in the US was in 1980. And that was not even 15%, it was 12% under Jimmy Carter. What happened to him after 4 years? He lost to Ronald Reagan. And so with just a 12% inflation, people refer to that period as among the worst period in US history. Now let's look at capital revenue or inflow that the minister also talked about, which is factual. He says $1.8 billion came into the economy in the second quarter. Did he lie? No, he didn't. But again, that is only half of the picture. The real picture is more than half of this money came in from the UK and US. That is significant concentration risk. And only 15% of this was foreign direct investment. Now, finally, let's look at what the Roman historian Livy tells us. He says there are 2 qualities of an outstanding person. The first is he thinks deeply about the problem. Yes, President Buhari has told us he's thinking deeply about this problem. But the second quality is he listens to advice. The lips and the question on the lips of Nigerians today is, will Buhari listen to the advice of President Obasanjo?
Let's anchor with that question there. And that's the show today and for the week as well. Jide Ogunsanwo is our data and information analyst. And that's the show as well. We thank you all for watching. We'll be back next time. I'm Chamberlain Uso.
Thanks for watching. I'm Jimba Umar.
Thank you for watching. I'm Neo Taegbe.
Thank you. I'm Maokwe Ogun Yusuf.
I'm Ajuri Ngalale, wishing everybody a lovely day.